Tough shit. Oh, I can tell we're live because he can't chop.
Yeah, you get chopped.
Now we're just staring at us. The second you do whatever you did, that's I give it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Is that you?
This is what I mean.
Your lock screen.
Yeah.
What's the problem is that?
What Soprel is that?
Yeah.
That's the only other.
Yeah, that's 2010 Soprel. That's 2010 Soprel. No, 2013.
No, that's
2013.
No, that's 2011. You were close. It's 2011.
What? Yo, you got a tattoo on your belly button?
Yeah.
How's that shit work?
And what do you mean?
Where the fuck does it go?
My fucking belly button, man.
Yo,
what the fuck?
But do they tattoo that shit or what?
Yeah, no, they tattooed my belly. Yeah. I was drunk.
Yeah, I'd be drunk too if I had a belly button tattoo.
I was drunk. I didn't.
Did they make it faces like? That's
Man,
what you say. What? That's what you say. It wasn't enough to make faces, bitch.
I had abs, nigga.
Yo,
fucking abs. You see them abs? Never seen abs.
Who's
in
that?
your life. Yeah, that's bro. That's PJ.
Look at white there. Right, look at white.
Yeah, well, I'm fucking.
Yeah, you're gonna say half. Yeah.
When I did my ancestry shit, I was 25% European.
That's always how it goes. European.
That was the 25% I wanted to get rid of myself.
Yo, man, when I get a tan in the summer, I turn orange. People think I'm Puerto Rican. I'm like, stop.
Probably think you Trump brother. Trump little brother right there.
Yo, trust me, she was different before that motherfucker. Oh my god.
You know that shit, nigga. Shut the fuck up. You know you love some fucking Trump, man.
Well, I wouldn't be here, bro.
Think about all that Trump shit that you be posting all the time. Come on, man. Fuck out of here.
I don't even have any posts.
Yo,
you think I'll be on the fucking? You think I'll be on the fucking Salisbury casting couch right now? This shit's only a 2-seater too. That's how you know it's not legit. Fuck.
I know. Nah, nigga, you be looking like a whole chalkboard. You remember that one time you was so black? We was at the beach and Jenny was drawing letters on you and shit. My wife was like, "You look like a chalkboard."
That's all.
You gonna write on him? The white woman like, "Yeah, I wrote my name on the chalkboard." Damn it,
bro. You get a pass for that or what?
huh?
Did she get a pass for that? How's that work?
Cause we family, man.
I mean, if you ask, bro.
We family.
I ain't never drawn anybody though.
But we just family. We've been me and B been family for how long we known each other? B 20 years. Man, I'm your big brother, man. I'm older than you, bro.
I can't compete with that. What the fuck am I supposed to do?
Get friends like that. What did you say? Is Allison around and are we recording? All right, so welcome back to the podcast. Are we back live on the video? All right, back in full effect. Where did we leave off at? Yeah,
The last time we were talking about why am I? Mhm.
All right, so go ahead.
We were discussing why am I unfulfilled in what I do, and why don't I have goals ultimately to become fulfilled? And if without those goals, how would I ever become fulfilled? And what is the ultimately the point of what I do?
So so you got the you have the benefit of time. Um, you are, even though you look old as fuck,
Appreciate that.
no problem for you. That's a compliment.
Hmm.
Um, but you are what? I'm what 14 years.
13,
13,
13.
13 so I'm
Let's
13.
not get ahead of yourself.
I'm 13, I'm 13 years your senior. But you have the benefit of time, and you know, your goals and your aspirations, they change as time goes along. So what's important to you now may mean nothing to you in 5 years. You know what I mean? And where you have been, um, I want to say, wise and choosy with your decisions. You know what I mean? You've put yourself in a position where you can define your happiness. A lot of people aren't even in a situation where they can define their happiness. When I was your age, you know, I couldn't define my happiness. I mean, I think I was still fucking a whole bunch of people and shit, right? At that time, a whole bunch of girls. When I was his age, Brandon.
He sounds.
Yeah, that's for a whole nother podcast. That's for the podcast After Dark, where we'll tell you all our darkest secrets. That one will not be recorded, so you can only catch it if it's live, because that's gonna be some shit right there. But yeah. So I mean, for me to sit and respect you, I have a lot of respect for you. You know what I mean? There's times where I ask you questions. You know what I mean? Because I don't know the answer. You know what I mean? And again, I'm 13 years your senior, but I view you as a peer. You know what I mean? I don't view you as, you know, somebody I'm above or anything like that. I view you as a peer. So and again, keeping in mind I'm 13 years your senior. But not only that, there's people who are 25 years your senior who view you as a peer. You know what I mean? Because you've put yourself in a position in life and you've made smart moves and you've grinded and you went to college and you did whatever you did to put yourself in a position where you can truly define your happiness at this point. And if you don't begin to define your happiness now, I think you would be doing yourself a disservice.
I agree, but to what extent do you define that? I'm saying now. Well,
Not without a major cost.
well, I think the only thing you're missing is I'm in 100K of student loan debt, so I don't really have an option. Oh, okay. I'll tell him. Actually, I never wanted to. You didn't. You just didn't. So the thing is, I mean, the, the thing is, with student loan debt is you can never default. So you can't claim bankruptcy on student loan debt. So essentially, if you have if you have 30K of student loan debt and you never pay it back and you can't discharge it through bankruptcy, you just default on it perpetually. That becomes the issue because there's people who went to school for a year, never graduated, don't make enough to pay their student loan debt back, and now they just default perpetually, and it affects their credit forever. I mean, they just default every month,
Yeah, we're back. We're
just
back
like
on.
that.
Fast forward. Yeah, we're still active. Looking at the. You're just looking at the behind. We're on go back to the YouTube page. Fast forward. Go all the way back to on that.
But I mean, if that was the case, then wouldn't everyone just do YouTube? I mean, why would anyone work a job?
So, so ultimately,
I'm floating down the stream without a care. We're floating through deep space on a speck of dust, and ultimately, whether or not we get taken out by the next meteorite that crashes into us, doesn't matter what my goals are.
I I just say again. Ultimately, I don't know. We've gotten way far off topic because we're supposed to be talking about childhood. You know what I mean? But that's how it always happens. Like you start on something and you end somewhere else. But defining your happiness at whatever point that you may be at in life is very important. So whatever that means for you personally, prepare yourself for death because at the end of the day, you know what I mean? You don't know when your ticket is going to be called. You don't know when your time is going to be up. And yeah, all these, grandiose goals, or even if they're not grandiose, all the goals that we have are very, very important. But what about today? Find a way to be happy with today. Find a way to be happy with where you're at. And whether that means you are less sad or whether that means you are, more towards your more happiness. You know what I mean? Whatever that means. If you're less sad, to me, that's a win. If you're sad, anyways, we got to figure out what the fuck you're sad for. You know what I mean? If you're at the point where you like, I'm fucking sad, and if I take 2 steps forward, I don't know whether I'm less sad or I'm more happy. That's some weird ass fucking shit, anyways. But I understand what you're saying. You know what I mean? That's some deep thinking shit. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people are there, you know, they buy a car. Are they less sad, or they, you know what I'm saying? You know, or are they less sad, or are they actually going towards their, you know, happiness? But without that being defined for what it means for you, you know, that's hard to measure. But you gotta find a way to be happy for today. And I think, to circle it back to the main point, you know, our main topic, you know, I think your childhood probably has a lot to do with how you view those type of
Oh,
things.
for sure. Why do you think I don't necessarily want a family or don't necessarily want to have an obligation? Because in the same rate, like, yeah, I look at my family and I'm like, all right, that's cool, but I don't want that same thing, you know. And yeah, you could go back and you could do it better, or you could prove people wrong or whatever. But ultimately, I don't care to do that. So in my right, I just don't care. Like I just see, you know, a lot of people don't know what the meaning of life is, right? So they have children, and then their children come out and they're like, "The fuck? What's the meaning of life?" And the same thing, the cycle continues, right? Like I'm saying, what else is there really?
Yeah, but when you run into something that has no true meaning, again, we're talking about self-defined things. So you get to define what life means to you, and you get to live it that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say outside of the mandatory work for money aspect, yeah, I would agree.
I mean, but that money thing is massively important to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you want to do anything that's expensive, you want, nice things. You want to be able to move. You want to be able, literally anything. Money does. It's not necessarily money. It's the opportunity that money allows you, and it's usually more important for people who haven't always had that. Because shit, if I was born rich, fuck, I don't want to work. Who gives a shit? I'll just be rich anyway. I'm saying, what do you work
So
towards?
so basically, you're a materialistic person.
No, because if you looked at what I own, I probably own a 20th of what you have.
So just because you don't own what you want does not make you a
But I
non-materialistic
own
person.
everything that I want. That's the thing.
But everything that you talk about is material.
No, I'm saying
You haven't said anything that's more in depth than material things.
I say I enjoy hiking and I enjoy biking.
Well, fucking hike then and bike.
Where we're on the Eastern Shore, ain't no
Motherfucker,
mountains.
if your happiness is defined by hiking and biking, then hike and bike wherever the fuck you want to hike.
I do though, but what do I need to get to the places? I need money.
So again, so you're a materialistic individual.
No, because you could say I want to own a family, I want to raise a family, I want to own a house, but what do you need to own a house? What do you need to provide for a family? You need money. So then everybody's materialistic because you could say, man, I really love pets. I want to own my own animal sanctuary where I'm going to foster dogs and everything else. Well, guess what? What do you have to pay to own the building? You got to pay rent. So then someone could say, damn, you're really materialistic. You really like money. Yeah, because money allows me what I want to do. And the thing is, I don't have things. I don't want things. I'm saying I just want to be able to do whatever I want. And the inherent issue is
you need money.
the inherent issue is I need money. And guess what? For money, I need a job. And then a job makes me work. And then I don't have time. And that's exactly
But
the thing.
it's amen.
Where do I live? Where do I
Because
work?
because he wants to hike and bike in the Alps, and he wants to hike and bike in Mexico, which he needs, you know, millions of
No,
dollars to get there.
the Appalachian Trail is on the East Coast. It's 2 hours north. But guess what? I gotta have the car and the car insurance and the gas. No, I do it every weekend. That's exactly what I.
He's an oxymoron.
No, you can't. But
He wants to do it in a Mercedes.
you know what? Okay, You know what happens to people who bike on the road? You know what happens to people who bike on the road? They get hit by drivers who aren't paying attention because they got their cell phone out. So I'm saying money is not the. I mean, I guess you could say that, but I also have. I mean, I guess if you assume that I just default on my student loan debt, then I guess you could say, yeah, outside of the $100,000 that I owe, money, the only thing that's holding me back is me. I would agree. However, $100,000 of debt isn't like some casual, casual weekend.
But
all right, if you owed $100,000, could you quit the next day? No, I do that on the weekends.
Car insurance.
I'm doing that on the weekends, but I'm saying ultimately it's not sustainable if I say, let me take the input that allows me to do what I want. And if I just cut off the input, then how can I continue doing what I want? I could hurl, through deep space infinitely and not make any money and not have a job, right? And still do what I want, but ultimately that will end. It will be finite.
Yeah, but so your happiness is not completely defined. Going on the Appalachian Trail is not your happiness.
Right. It's hanging out with friends.
Well, hold on. That's just something you want to do. That's just something you like to do.
It contributes to my happiness.
It contributes to your happiness, but that has not defined what you define as happiness. You haven't defined your happiness. Because if that was the case, if the Appalachian, whatever the fuck,
Appalachian.
If that was your happiness, it would be there. Yeah, it would be I don't need money. I don't need this. If I can achieve where I can do this when I want to, then I'm happy. And every step that you make would be towards that. So you have to find something that every step that you make is towards that.
But the issue is that's such a low barrier to entry because as long as you have a car, you can get there. So let's say your favorite thing to eat is McDonald's. You love going to McDonald's and getting McDouble. McDouble's $1.29. You could do that on any income, no matter what. You could be in Southeast Asia getting a McDouble for $1.29, and you would be happy. Is that correct? Or are there other things that would still need to have places in your life to fill your time?
All right, so my wife, right? Just kind of going off, not off topic, but I'm gonna swing it around. So my wife, right? She wanted to buy a new house. So we're going and we're looking at houses and all of this stuff. The market right now, everybody knows that the housing market right now is booming. It's booming. It's exploding. My house that I bought is worth, $75,000 more than what I bought it for. And I've done nothing to it but maybe put in a bathroom floor and put some stones on the ground.
And pee in the iron.
And pee in the iron. We'll give that one to B. To second B. So what I told my wife is, with a market like this, you run into where you buy a house and 5 years from now the market crashes, you're upside down in your house. You bought a fucking $350,000 house, a $300,000 house. This bitch is now worth $75,000 less than what you bought it for. And every time you look at your mortgage and then you look at your Zillow estimate, you like, what the fuck is going on here? But what I told her is if you buy the house that you love,
it don't matter.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter that your house is now worth $75,000 less than what it was when you bought it because you love it. You don't care. That's the same thing about your goal. Yeah, you're not selling it. You don't care. You don't care if you look on Zillow and it's like your house is only worth, 250 and you bought it for 350. You like, I don't give a fuck. I love my home. I don't care. I'll pay whatever to live in my home. That's the same thing as your happiness. Your happiness may cost you. It may ultimately cost you some other things that are less important, but still valuable. But if it's ultimately what you want, and when you go to sleep at night, and if you happen to die tomorrow, you can say, I reached the pinnacle of where I wanted to be. It doesn't matter what it cost you. There are people who've done, amazing things in this life that have cost them so much. But the cost didn't matter because the value that it held to them. Somebody may come in this room and say, I got a nice man cave. I enjoy my man cave. They may say, you know what? This is only worth $10,000. You paid $20,000 for. I don't care. I love it. The cost doesn't really matter to me because cost and value are not always the same thing. Cost can be high and the value can be higher. You know what I mean? Cost can be low and the value can still be high. Cost can be high and the value could be very low.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where defining what is valuable to you matters, because the cost ends up not mattering. You know what I mean? There's people who their true dream is they want to hike. They want to hike the mountains. They want to hike Everest and whatever.
And they quit their job and they go on a 6-month hike, and yeah, they go through the whole country.
Or they might not even do that. They might grind to death, beg, borrow, barter to get what they ultimately want. One would say the cost to get what you wanted was high. The value of what you got was low. But the value was placed on my happiness. So it doesn't matter what you value it as, because you're putting a monetary value to it. You begged for X amount of money to get to where you wanted to get. You know how much begging you had to do, or how much borrowing or bartering you had to do to get to where you wanted to get. But the value to that individual was so high that the cost doesn't matter.
So then ultimately, through the same principle, though, you don't really need a defined goal. I'm saying you can be happy without purpose. You can have purpose and not be happy. Think about it. How is it any different?
It is completely different.
You can be happy without purpose. Do you not agree?
Mm-hmm.
So how could you also not have a purpose and still be happy? I'm saying they're the same thing.
I agree, but do you not have a purpose and are happy?
I'm not saying I don't have a purpose.
Okay, so we're talking about you. We're not talking about the Sandman on the side.
If my purpose isn't defined, you could say,
Are you happy?
When you were, see, that's the thing. Am I happy? Occasionally. I think it's heavily contingent on, am I hanging out with friends? Am I where I want to be? Am I
those are things you value then?
Yeah. Am I living in the middle of nowhere? Can I get to an airport where I can get to somewhere
those,
I want?
Those are things you value, but you have not chose what you value ultimately.
Right, because I feel like there are things in the way that prevent me from so.
From valuing what you value?
Yeah, because if I value my time the most, then I think I should be paid an infinite amount. Or if I value my time the most, I think I should spend it doing X, Y, and Z. But society says, fuck you, we're going to tell you what to do, and you don't get to choose where you're born. You don't get to choose where you go, really. I'm saying, think about it. How do you end up here? Did you choose to end up here?
Yes.
How do you know?
What do you mean how I know? I made whatever decision. Yeah, but whatever decisions I made is what brought me here.
Right, but you didn't choose where you were born. You didn't choose your intelligence. You didn't choose your skill set. You didn't choose your.
How did I not choose those things?
How could you? Think about it. How could you?
Are we tripping?
I'm saying if you're really talented at music, right?
Yeah,
That's
but
a skill that you can practice.
I chose that.
But I'm saying there are smart people and there are people who are not as smart. How do they choose that? Is
What are you
that
talking?
not inherent?
What are you talking about? No, it's not inherent. No,
How?
no. I say this. I don't believe we're born with unlimited potential. I don't believe that. You know, some people are born with the potential to be a glorious janitor.
Okay.
And if they live up to that potential and they become the best janitor, guess what? They are doing way better than us who are born with the potential to be um, amazing philanthropist or an amazing entrepreneur who never live up to our potential. You know what I mean?
Right.
I am, if I had to assess myself, I'm probably living way below what I could potentially be doing.
And why do you think that is, though?
Because that's what I chose to do. It was a decision. It's a decision. Because at any point, I can change my decision and say, you know what? I'm going to go out here and I'm going to stretch my potential to the death. And I'm going to find, how far I can take myself. And I'm going to take myself to that edge. But that comes at a cost.
So you're
And it's not a cost that I'm willing to pay. So I don't really give a fuck.
So this goes back to the being content thing then. You're content where you are, so there's no need for you to.
I agree. So for individuals like you, what makes me different is I defined what my happiness is.
All right.
Because to me, time is more valuable than money. Money is unlimited. You know what I mean? You can make as much money as you could possibly make. You know what I mean? You put yourself in the positions, you make the right moves, you make the right decisions, you come up with the right hustle. You know what I mean? Whatever you do, you can make as much money as you want to make. You don't get as much time as you want to get. So to me, time is more important. So I value time. I value time with my family. I value time with my friends. I value time doing a podcast. I value time when I get to drink. I value time when I get to go to the gym. Those things are more important to me than money. So if it ever becomes between, you can make more money, but it's going to cost you more time.
And you take time.
I'm always going to take time. I'm always going to say, man, I don't want the money. I'll take the time. You could offer me, you could double my salary right now and say, but it's going to cost you 4 more hours a day. One would look at that and say, well, hey, bro, you only work 8 hours a day. Hell, you'd be working 12 hours a day. That's half your motherfucking day. The other 12 you get to yourself.
I would say, fuck that.
You know what I mean? I'm going to say, nah. I'm going to say, look, I don't want no parts of that because I value my time, because time, we all have limited time. We can make as much money in a lifetime as we can make. It's all a hustle. You know what I mean? Everything that we do is a hustle. You know what I mean? But you don't get unlimited time. So what are you going to do with your time? And that's where defining your goals. And for one individual, that goal may be, in my time, I want to make as much money as possible. If that means I got to work 12 hours a day, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, but I think those are typically people who have a lineage, who have a family.
That do what?
I'm saying, because if my goal was make as much money as I can in my lifetime, who gives a shit if I just die? Because then who does it go to?
Yeah, but I got people who who have raised their kids, who have done what they're supposed to do, and they're like, I just want my time.
Oh yeah, I agree. That's a significant point. I'm just saying, I don't think I've reached an age where what I want to do is definite. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
well, you've defined yourself and let's be honest. I know some of your history. Your family makes money. Your family has money, correct?
My dad has been unemployed for 5 years, and my mom's a substitute
But your
teacher.
dad has money.
So, see, I don't know. So my dad, he acts like he doesn't, but I would imagine he does. But at the same rate, he lives as if he doesn't. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you live like you're never alive, then what's the point? I'm saying, if that dude died and shit, he has $3 million, cool. But at the same rate, I mean, once he got fired, he died. Like once he lost that job, that's it. What do you think he does? Like that's the thing. So ultimately, the same thing what you said with time. If he values money over everything, guess what? He does absolutely nothing because it costs him money. So he does nothing. He has done nothing in the past for nothing.
But he reached his value. If what he valued was money, then he was able to achieve that. Now, just because I have money don't mean I'm gonna spend it. I
Yeah, but
value money.
but that's stupid because the only time money reaches its full potential is if you spend it.
So then that means you're at a dilemma. You know what I mean? Or do you value money or do you value the things you can do with money?
The things I can do, I don't give a shit. I don't look at a bank account. Wow, that's incredible.
So go ahead, B, jump in, man. So 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 I had somebody talk to me today, and and the brother broke down in tears talking to me. I won't say his name, but his mom is going through it. He's been told that his mom only has a certain amount of time to live, and all those things. So um he was stressing about it's to the point that he wants to claim a hardship on his 401k because they're no longer doing the CARES Act, so he just can't randomly take out money. So he wants to claim a hardship on his 401k, and he's in tears. And he's like, I don't know what to do. My mom has all these medical bills, and she's losing her house. She's $8,000 behind in her house, and the house is really important to the family, and we want to keep the house. um we didn't know that she was at the point of losing her house, and this is all just got hit with us all of a sudden, and he's trying to take out a hardship. So I'm like, well, go get your paperwork, and let me sit down and I'll look over your paperwork with you and see if I can help you fill out your hardship paperwork. So he brings his paperwork, and he didn't really know how to fill out the paperwork. He had, the information that he could fill out filled out, and um, there's only certain reasons that you can claim a hardship.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what he had checked is that one of the things that you could claim a hardship for is you're going to lose your primary residence.
Right.
So he had checked that box, and I said, well, is your name on the house? And he said no. I said, well, they're not going to give you a hardship, payout for that because your name's not on the house. I said, okay, so let's look at the other options. So it said that you could claim a hardship if you yourself or your primary beneficiary had medical bills, medical expenses that you want to pay. And he said, well, my mom is my primary beneficiary on my 401k account. I said, so clearly That's the option that we're gonna choose because your mom is the primary. It said you or your primary beneficiary, she's the primary. So he checked that box. I said, listen, when you get this money, fuck them medical bills. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, man, fuck the medical bills. I'm like, dude, your mom is getting ready to pass. They can't come to you for the medical bills. They can't make you pay those medical bills. I'm like, your mom is getting ready to go. If the house is important, he was trying to get like $15,000. And I was like, how much medical bills do you have? And he's like, we got $20,000 in medical bills. I'm like, dude, fuck the medical bills, man. If your mom goes, you know what I mean? That's it. They can't come to you and say, well, your mom died. You owe us $20,000. I'm like, yo, you won't owe them nothing. Fuck those medical bills. You don't have to pay those medical bills. If the house is what's important, we're gonna claim the hardship based on medical bills, but you're gonna go get the house and you're gonna pay for you're gonna pay for the house and things like that. You know what I mean? But he felt so weighed down by seeing the numbers of the medical bills, and he felt so weighed down by seeing that the house is going and all of that shit. At the end of the day, like some of that shit we owe. I remember when my father passed, my sister was doing the same shit. She's like, oh my god, we got to figure out dad's medical bills. I'm like, fuck his medical bills. He's gone. I'm not paying them bitches. Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, we don't owe anybody anything. I appreciate them taking care of them and all of that shit. You know what I mean? Like,
that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You know what I mean? So what Brandon is saying, is it's almost the same like the student loans. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying in any way neglect your student loans, anything like that. You know what I mean? That's something that you owe. But at the same time, find a way to like live your life, but define your happiness first.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I'm just saying I can't say travel ban, quarantine, and everything else for the past 15 months. Sorry, 13 months probably has helped, but I don't know, man. I got some time to figure that out.
Oh, yeah, you got well. I would say you had plenty of time, but that's not always the case. You can get on a plane on Sunday.
That could be it. Actually, yeah, I got a notification that was like, yeah, storm weather, Category 3 storm blowing through. Make sure you change your flight. I was like,
so we're partying tomorrow. Like to me. So so Brandon, are you ready to die? Have you lived the life? Have you lived the life that if tomorrow you were to go and you had 20 minutes to think about it before the lights were getting ready to cut off, and all right, we say this is the end, we all say goodbye. Are you ready? Have you lived the life that you know you think you're ready for that to this point? So no, so that's a different question. You answered it differently. You answer what would you do with the last 48 hours if you had 48 hours to live? That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you as an individual, have you fulfilled not all your goals, because I'm sure you have more that are yet to be fulfilled, but at this point in your life, have you fulfilled what you wanted to fulfill in order to die? If tomorrow was it, and it's 11:40, at 12 o'clock tomorrow you clock out. That's it. No more Brandon. Have you fulfilled what you wanted to fulfill up until that point? And then if you say yes, my next question is going to be what? So next question. So what's left? And see, so I've reached a point in my life that everything that I gain, not lose. So we're just talking about gain. I am where I am now, and everything from here is up. Life don't always work like that, but let's just say everything from here is up. If everything from this point right now, again, disclaimer, I know that it's not the case because life does what life does. But um, I mean, I'm good. Everything from now is like extra. You know what I mean? Every time I get something, financially, I get another raise. It's just extra. It doesn't even mean anything. Like, they gave out all these great stimuluses and shit. Just to give you an idea of how many kids I got $7,000 for a stimulus. And I can't even stimulate the economy because there's nothing I want to fucking buy. I'm like at a point in my life, you know what I mean? Like I got all the only other thing that I could go buy is a fucking boat. And I don't want a fucking boat because my father-in-law got a boat. So I got a boat. You know what I mean? I'm just waiting for him to go and give it to me. You know, I'm just kidding. Pop, I love you. You know what I mean? But I've reached a point in life where everything else after this is it's just like extra. You know what I mean? I got wonderful kids. You know what I mean? I got a wonderful wife. Not to say that my kids will always be wonderful. They may be some little shits. You know what I mean? Coming up here. You know what I mean? I raised a daughter who's 18, getting ready to go off to college. My son may not be shit. You know what I mean? We don't know. We'll see how it goes. You know what I mean? But I mean, everything from this point is just extra. You give me a raise, it's just extra. You know what I mean? I got 4 kids. I can't have any more kids. I get another kid, it's just extra. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You know, I wanted to be a musician. You know what I mean? I've experienced that life. You know what I mean? I've recorded in studios. I've done shows. I've played the piano. I've grinded through the workforce and I've worked my way up to a good job from the bottom and all of that shit. I used to be skinny and I gained muscle. I went and did a bodybuilding show. I wanted to learn how to play the guitar, so I went and bought a whole bunch of guitars and I taught myself how to play those. You know what I mean? Like it's so many things. Yeah, that I've accomplished that at this point it's just extra. You know what I mean? You live in a life where everything is just extra. So, I mean, when we talking about like living your youth, hey Brandon, did we live our youth? So I have nothing to like, I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. I I did all those things. You know what I mean? So you live in a life where everything is just extra. You know what I mean? So what does it take for you to get to the point now? Are there places that I still want to see? Yes. But if I don't see them, it's no problem. Because if I do see them, guess what they are?
Extra.
They're just extra.
It's just a matter of perspective. If you boil it down to that, then because you could say everything I do for the next 40 years, that shit could just be extra too.
It's still self-defined.
Right. It just says, what parameters do I set for success for myself?
Yep. Yep.
I could say, shit, I'm golden now. Anything else, extra.
But that's the thing.
I don't.
No, most people do not self-define it.
Right.
And they live a life of never actually self-defining it. They're 40, they don't self-define it. They're 50, they don't self-define. They just live. And they don't and but you also there's things that come with it too. Because you also have to analyze where you're at and what moves you can make to change where you're at.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because same thing, my wife wanting to go buy a house because you know we made it to a point where we're in a different tax bracket and all this shit, and
Vibe check.
yeah, we're making all this money. Come on, we're making big money and all this shit. You know what I mean? Now she says, okay, well, let's go out here and buy this, the big ass house. Do do we need the big ass house? Do you just now want the big ass house just so you can say you had the big ass house? Does that big ass house really matter to you in your ultimate goal? Or do we want to keep our house we got now, which is a beautiful home, and go buy a vacation home?
I mean, a lot of it's perception, though. A lot of people do stuff to impress other people.
Absolutely.
Look your job title. What's the first thing when people meet you? They ask, "What do you do for work?" All the time. What do you do?
Yeah.
When you announce me on the mic, what's your name? What do you do for work? It's exactly how it is. So there's a lot of people who live through the demands of others who will never be happy. They want to buy the nice car, so people talk about their car. They want to have a job, so people talk about their job.
He got money. He got money. Shit. Absolutely. and and I can attest to that because you know what I mean. We come from not the same backgrounds, but the same place. I mean, there was a point in life where when you and I met, you know what I mean. We were level. We were at the same place in life. You know what I mean. You was staying with your mom, and I was staying with my pops. You know what I mean. I was staying with To. My surrogate father. You know what I mean. And we just running around doing all the dumbass shit that we could do, and we were just being children. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I know, you had no handouts. Nobody gave you anything. You know what I mean? And you calling me and like, hey, yo, bruh, I'm getting ready to buy this house. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I'm coming looking. I'm like, shit, damn, my nigga made it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? On some real shit, you know what I mean? And then you call me like, yo, I ain't even fucking working, man, but I'm raking in this money and I'm doing this and I'm doing this, that, and the third. And I'm trying to make you a millionaire. Hey, bro, I got you and all of that shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You doing it, but I know where you came from. And I know that, your focus ain't never been money. That's what I told people, you know what I mean? When I stopped focusing on money, I made more of it than I could even imagine. You know what I mean? But it hasn't been my yeah. You know what makes you I mean, what makes you happy? When you do what makes you happy, it's like the money come. You know what I mean? And you do what you gotta do. Not saying that you don't do what you gotta do. You gotta work, you fucking work. You know what I'm saying? But if you if the money defines you, you end up paying a bigger price to get that money. You know what I mean? When you know what clearly makes you happy, the money is secondary because your happiness is first. And the money comes. It comes. It comes. It comes. If not, you die happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? So it's a win-win. And even me, like yo, AOB, man. AOB. You know me since way back. Listen, man, you already know I was scheduled to be nothing to nobody, correct? I was scheduled to either be dead or I was gonna die of HIV or something like that. Yo, I was gonna fucking die. You don't know how many situations like this man came got me out of, like precarious situations where I'm like, hey yo, Brandon, I don't even know how the fuck I got here, but can you come get me? And he cussed me out the whole time. Man, motherfucker, I told you not to go to that bullshit and da da da. I ain't have a car. Man, I ain't coming to get you. Come on, bro. Man, all right, man, I'll be there. You know what I'm saying? And he comes swoop me up every time, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, his mom always thought that, I was gonna get him in so much trouble, but I always tell her like the truth is he kept me out of more shit than I ever got him into. You know what I mean? But
That's cool, though.
yeah, and I was scheduled to be, nothing, nobody, have nothing.
What do you think changed that, though?
I would like to blame it on myself, but to be completely honest, my wife, my wife, when when yeah, yeah, my wife, when I met my wife, that was the first time, obviously she wasn't my wife at that point, but that was just,
That'd be weird.
yeah, that would be fucking weird. But that was the first time that I met somebody who made me, not by force,
Made you want to be better.
but made me want to be better. And it wasn't by force, it wasn't by anything that she did, you know what I mean? But for her, I wanted to be more. You know what I mean? I wanted to do more. I saw that I could have something. And I wanted to live up to that. You know what I mean? And that changed everything for me from the moment that I met her. You know what I mean? We've been rocking since we met. You know what I mean? Ups and downs. You know, been through a lot of shit and all that stuff, tough stuff, and but we made it. But that's what changed it for me, because before that, I was a loose cannon, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I was literally a loose cannon. It ain't no telling. Today everything will be good. Tomorrow somebody got to come save my ass because I'm in some bullshit. I'm finna. I mean, you talking about shooting and fighting and in somebody's house I'm not supposed to be in, doing something with somebody woman I'm not supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? Like, in situations where you like, how the fuck you get out of these situations? You know what I mean? But having good people like him in my corner, having good people like my pop in my corner, you know what I'm saying? Like, but that's why I said, where I am today, everything is extra for me because I'm not even supposed to be where I'm at today. I'm supposed to be a statistic. You know what I mean? I'm supposed to be in jail. I'm supposed to be fucked up somewhere. I'm not supposed to have the mind that I have. I was dumb. You talking about a dumb motherfucker who don't know how to think past 2 steps? I'm that guy. So when you say, I remember you said something earlier. You said that your intelligence is inherited. It's not. Because if that was the case, my dad, rest his soul, was not the smartest guy. My mama, she's still living. There you go. You know what I'm saying? But so it's not inherited, because what I inherited originally was a pile of bullshit, was a bunch of dumb ass fucking shit, and I was stupid. I was stupid. I was your typical dumb motherfucker. But some kind of how I gained some type of wisdom, and I know how because I put a lot of work into who I am. You know what I'm saying? So I know this is not on accident. It's intentionally done. You know what I mean? To build myself into who I am. But to get to this point, you know what I mean? Like,
What did you have to do though?
so I came up with rules in my life. Um in my life, and this goes back to the original topic. In my life, my childhood, I was hurt a lot. Every woman that's ever been in my life hurt me at some point. So one of the first things that I had to do was I had to understand forgiveness. But I didn't understand forgiveness, and most people don't understand forgiveness. So what I had to do is
Still don't. Still, most people still don't understand
no.
forgiveness.
So what I had to do is one thing that the Bible says, and I'm not no Bible scholar, and I ain't no Christian. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't all into that, but it's good and everything. One thing that the Bible says is study to show thyself approved. So anything you want to know, you study. So when I wanted to know forgiveness, guess what I did? I read books about forgiveness. I watched podcasts about forgiveness. I watched videos about forgiveness. I watched preachers preach about forgiveness. And I learned about forgiveness. And I learned how to forgive. And I learned what it meant. And I learned how to do it. And I learned the steps to take. And I learned, you know what I'm saying? I studied those things. So that was step one. Two, I didn't know how to be a man. It was a lot of things about being a man that I didn't understand. So what did I do? I studied on how do you become a man? What do you do to be a man? How should a man act? How should a man carry himself? How should a man treat others? I studied those things. So the person that I built, you said something else earlier. Do you think people are just born successful? I believe 100% that people are just born successful. There are people who are born with a chiseled jawline, who are 6'2", who never have a weight problem in their life, who got all the money they could ever ask. They got the influential parents. They have the business that's set up for them to push them into success and all the things that they need. And some of those are able to walk in those shoes. But 95% of us, that ain't the case. But 95% of us, we don't have a chiseled jawline. We don't look like how we want to look. We think we look fucked up when we look in the mirror. We can't figure out why the fuck I can't get abs and I ain't eat nothing but salads. My legs is small. My arms are big. My head is big. You know what I mean? My shoulders are small. We can think of all the issues that we have. But every issue, almost, not all, but every issue that we have almost can be solved by work. But most people, in order to do the work, you have to admit that you have a weakness. And most people do not want to admit that, you know what? My arms are small. And if I just did some curls and probably ate some good food, they could get bigger. My pockets are skinny. If I just did some work, I could probably get some bigger pockets. Maybe I can't get it in this profession, but I can figure it out. But most people do not want to admit that they have a weakness. But me, I am happy to admit my weaknesses. And every time I find one, or every time I think somebody point one out, you know what I mean? I embellish that and I love it. What am I weak at? What do I need to work on? You know what I mean? And that's what I did. You know what I mean? That's
So where do you think you're at now? I'm saying, do you think you still have weaknesses?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I can tell them to you. I can tell them to you.
Want to know?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I think it's more of a mindset, right? Just
absolutely not.
Just to your point, though, I'm saying if you think you got nothing to change about yourself, then you're probably going to be not the perfect version of you because you got nothing to work on. Because if you think everything is perfect as it is,
if you think you have nothing to change about yourself, you're delusional.
Well, that's what I mean. So I'm saying, if I say, all right, what do you got to work on? You say nothing. I say, damn, so pro give up on himself.
Nah, it comes to the point where at some point your weaknesses are harder to pick out, because the thing with becoming yourself is what you gain is confidence.
Right.
So I'm a very, very, I'm a confident person. Like I said, I live life aggressively. I'm a very aggressive person. So the more aggressive and the more confident you become, the thing about that is it's almost harder to pick out your weaknesses, but you have to search for them. You know what I mean? You have to say, you have to wake up in the morning and say, okay, what am I weak at? What am I weak at? What am I weak at? You know what I mean? And you have to know those things, and that's something else for you to work on. You know what I mean? But you take strength. So me, I gain strength for working in my weaknesses. You know what I mean? And I love to see people struggle. I make my kids struggle as much as they can. If you and me are friends, I'm gonna test you. You already know. I'm gonna test you. I'm gonna challenge your mental, because I want you to struggle, because I believe struggle creates greatness. You know what I mean? And as you struggle, the more I make you struggle, the more I make my children struggle, the more I make my friends struggle, the harder they have to push. But the harder you push, and what happens is the stronger you become. You know what I mean? And it's just pushing through those barriers. And sometimes, you got to let somebody slip through and get through so they can feel that victory. But that's what you want to do. But when you become, self-actualized, you have to cause those struggles within yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? You have to make those. I do dumbass shit like I'm gonna take a fucking cold shower for 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Just so I can have something to struggle at. I want to struggle. You know what I mean? Because I'm a professional struggler.
Well, that's what I was saying about the overarching goals. Is I feel like I have some mediums or sometimes in my life where if I don't have an overarching goal, I sort of think, the fuck am I doing? Like, if you're not improving on something, then what are you doing?
My goal right now, I gotta be.
That's your goal?
That's my goal.
Strengthen your bladder. That's what you got to work on. I don't know. I'm saying it goes hand in hand, though. Like, obviously, yeah. I mean, obviously, you want to be happy at what you do, but you don't want to be complacent to the point where it's a fault in your character. As in, you don't want to be unmaintained, but you want to be aware enough that you know where your weaknesses are. Yeah.
Terrell did not ask you that. Please, please do not put words in Terrell's mouth. I did not ask you that.
I think more specifically, you said if you died today, would you be okay with it?
I did not say, do you want to die today?
Okay, yeah, I don't know if you said exactly that.
I did.
Well,
He
you did
said.
good.
He said. Terrell asked me if I would. Do I want to die? What'd you say? What'd you say?
Yes. Is it volunteer?
No. No, no. Listen, I'm hungry. Do I want pizza or would I be okay with pizza? Is two different things. I don't want pizza, but listen, I'll be fine with it if it comes. But I don't want it. I would rather have steak. That's two different things.
That's all.
It's two very different things. I just want to clarify. I'm not asking people like, do you want to die today? Do you want to die today? I did not ask anybody that. I said, I mean, I feel like I don't know, man. You know, I feel like it's easy. You know what I mean? Once you set those goals, you know, I feel like it's easy, and it's just following the path that takes you closer to those goals. And I just feel like I feel like you know, most people just don't have that set.
Yeah, I
You
think
know that
ultimately I'm always going to follow the path
they
that
don't know
takes me
what that
closer to
means
my
to them.
goals.
What'd you say, B?
I said I feel like ultimately I'm always going to take the path that takes me closer to my goals.
Even when that path is challenging.
Even when that path is challenging, I think the challenge is what makes it worthwhile. I think that challenge is important for, achieving the goals. Without a challenge, I mean, what's the point of having a goal? If you don't have a challenge, if you don't have something that's gonna challenge you, then what's the point of making the fight?
Nah, no, I'm saying like in situations where in my situation, like people thought I was crazy. When my situation was, you know, my goal is always more time with my family. And then somebody comes offers me $25,000 more than what I currently make. That's a pretty huge bump. Would you say?
50%.
It's pretty good.
That's a pretty huge bump. So when I look at that bump and I say, nah, I'm good. And they like, yo, but that's huge. You know what I mean? That's 50% more. And I'm like, nah, I don't want it. I'll be all right. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't line up with my overarching goal. You know what I mean? Or what I mainly want. You know what I mean? That's where it becomes hard. And I think that's where a lot of people get derailed. You know what I mean? Because they're focused on one thing, but then something comes along better. And that's where that grass, you know, the grass is greener on the other side comes, you know what I mean? But it's a lot of shit to make that grass look greener, or it's just the way the sun is hitting it and all that bullshit that people say. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But that's
Always
where that comes in.
I used to say that. I
So
used to say the grass is always greener on the other side, but it's because it's full of manure.
yeah. So So people say shit like that, but they don't really fucking believe it when they say it. So then when the situation comes to the home front, you know what I mean? They can't really see it. You know what I mean? All they see is the green grass, and you be like, yo, but there's a lot of shit over there. They be like, well, I don't smell no shit, so I don't know. That's soil. That ain't fucking shit. That's tired over there, motherfucker. The shit grass over there with the poor people. I'm going over here. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's when it becomes difficult, and that's where standing on your principles, like, you know, even being raised, you know, my surrogate father taught me that, you know, to be a man of principle, to be a man of, you know, morals, to be a man of what's important to you. You know what I mean? And that's what I try to be. You know what I mean? I am very goal orientated. You know what I mean? When I set my eyes on something, that's what I go for. So when I set my goal, that my goal is I want more time with my family. You know, when I look back and I say now that I'm successful, you know, me and my wife was just talking. I got a job offer, potentially more money than what I make now. And me and my wife are talking, and I'm like, well, I don't want it. I'm like, literally, this yesterday morning, right? I didn't feel like going to work early. So I woke up like, I said, I wake up 8 o'clock. I just get myself together. I just go to work whenever the fuck I want to go to work. I go to the gym. The guys at the gym was like, oh, what time you work? 2 to 10? Because I'm at the gym at 12 o'clock. I'm like, nah, I just go to work and whenever I want. He's like, damn, you got it like that? I'm like, yeah, pretty much. I just go to work. When do you go home? Well, whenever I want. You know, how can you go home whenever you want? Because, you know, I just open my computer at home and do the work. You know what I mean? But had I had took the job that was originally offered to me, not only would I be making less money than I make right now, it would be costing me more time than it costs me right now. And I turned that down when it was $25,000 more than what I make. And right now, I make what? $35,000 more with a bigger bonus. You know what I mean? Potentially. All because I stood true to what was important to me. And I didn't get swayed by what was set in front of me at the time. And at the time, you know, it took me 7 months to get that extra, but I never asked for it. I didn't ask for it. It just came to me. It came in my lap. Here, we're going to give you this. How much time is it going to cost me? It ain't going to cost you much more time. Fuck it. I'll take it then. You're going to pay me this much more and not going to cost me less time? Fuck it. I'll take it.
Yeah.
And it's held true.
Do you think anything...
Now, one could say maybe I'm lucky. Yeah, who knows?
Do you think anything specific from your childhood led to you being who you are today successfully at work? Like, I can give an example for me. You know, I grew up in a female household. So it was my mother and my sister. My sister's 8 years older than me. My sister left the house when I was I 16? No, she was 8 years older. So I was probably 8 or 9 years old. And she left the house around when she was around 16, 17. And, you know, I usually don't tell personal stuff, but there was a long time before I learned how to do a lot of the stuff that is required of a man, you know, because I didn't really know how to be a man. There was no one around to say, hey, this is what men do, you know, when you're in the car, you hawk a loogie, you're supposed to, you know, instead of that. You know, I was the guy that tried to spit out the window and would go down inside the car because I didn't know how to do it. Right?
Like a little bitch.
You know what I mean? Exactly. So you know, you imagine, you know, it's hard for a woman to teach a man how to piss standing up. You imagine it's hard for a woman to teach a man how to treat a woman, how to be successful in a relationship. So all those things that I had to deal with growing up in a household like that led me to being. It was a struggle, right? Remember, Sapro was talking about how those struggles are the things that kind of, he lives for struggle. Well, those struggles is kind of what led me toward my success, because the more I had to fight with something, the more I wanted to beat that challenge. I wanted to meet that challenge of being a more manly man, or being more capable of doing things that I wasn't taught to do. I had to learn those things on my own, so I made sure that I held on to them. So me not having a father in my life, I know that eventually, I don't have children now, but eventually I'm going to have children. And I want to make sure that I am as good of a father as I can be. And I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to struggle my hardest to be the best father that I can be. But it's mostly because I didn't have a father in my life. So I want to make those. I probably will fuck up, but but I'm gonna take those challenges, and I'm gonna do everything that I can to meet those challenges.
Everything.
So that's what led me to where I am.
So 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 what led me to where I am is I just got so used to things being hard for me coming up that when things became easy, I didn't know that things were easy. You know what I mean? I thought everything was hard. So I had this hustler, very, very manipulative personality. You know what I mean? So I manipulated everything because I thought everything was a manipulation, because I was raised to believe, not raised to believe, but being thrown in an adult world as a child, you know what I mean? I felt like everybody was trying to manipulate me, or I was trying to manipulate everybody. So whose will is gonna win? So it's always that I just had that will that my manipulation power is stronger than yours. So that's all it became. You know what I mean? I used to tell people at work, you know what I mean? They're like, yo, how did you get to where you are right now today in the job? They be like, man, you must have worked your ass off. I'm like, man, fuck. I'm allergic to hard work. Anytime hard work comes, I gotta take Benadryl because I break out. You know what I mean? I do not believe in hard work. Hard work is bullshit. Do not believe in that. If you do hard work, you need to reevaluate your life and you need to figure out how to work smarter. So what I would do is whenever the man would come around, that's what we're gonna call him. We're gonna call him the man. Whenever the man would come around, I could just produce sweat. It would just be like sweat just instantly come down my face. I'm like, yo, the man there. They be like, yo, that is just the hardest working motherfucker. I'd be like, hey, how you doing, boss? Soon as he would leave, I'd be like, man, shit. I'm not doing shit. Not doing a motherfucking thing. You know what I mean? And and I realized a long time ago that my success was not just based on, what I did. It was based on how people viewed me. So I made sure not only that everybody who looked at me thought well of me, but everybody that I worked with thought well of me. So people think that they can just neglect who they work with. You know what I mean? But you can't make it on your own. I've never made it on my own. I made it on the backs of other people boosting me up. You would go ask somebody their opinion of Saprel, and they say, man, he's a hard worker. Damn, he'll do anything. And I'm like, shit, these motherfuckers don't know me. I'm not doing shit. I just did shit at the right time. Timing is like, that's 50% of the struggle right there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Knowing when to do something, knowing when not to do something. You know what I'm saying? Those kind of things. So my childhood of just struggling and hustling and just having that mentality, like even when I didn't need that mentality, like just being that that ultimate hustler. You know what I mean? That ultimate, like I said earlier, you know what I mean? I'm just very opportunistic. And it's hard to turn it off because even now today, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, that's an opportunity right there. Okay. When people say that life is chess, not checkers, most people who say that don't even know how to play chess, first of all. So I would say if you say that statement in your life, please learn how to play chess. Because if you don't know how to play chess and you say that statement, it does not count for your life. You are fucking your life up. But knowing that, life is very, very strategic, and knowing how to be strategic, knowing how to say, okay, if I do this, this person is going to do this. When they do this, then I'm going to do this. When they do that, then I'm going to do that. And the person who wins is the person who can think the most moves ahead. Because at the same time, while I'm making my manipulation, the same person that I'm trying to manipulate may be playing against me. He may be saying, okay, if I do this to Saprel's going to do this. And then when he does this, I'm going to do this. And when he does that, I'm going to do this. So I always think that whoever I'm encountering, as far as business, even personal relationships, I always feel like everybody is trying to manipulate me. So if I'm being
true, it's probably true.
Well, that's how I feel. If I'm being manipulated, then I'm trying to manipulate back. You know what I mean? So I'm playing chess with everything that I do. And it's hard to turn that off. So somebody told me one time, I said, you know what? I went and saw a psychologist. I think all people should go speak to a professional. So I went and spoke to a professional. And, the professional said, you're a very manipulative person. And I said, well, I'm trying. I said, I'm trying not to manipulate people no more. And she was like, yeah, okay. She was like, that's a smart person trying to pretend like they dumb. Yeah, she was like, no matter how dumb you play, your wisdom will always come through. She was like, even you trying to say you're trying not to manipulate anybody anymore is a manipulation. She was like, you just have to accept that you are a manipulative person. That's who you are. She was like, that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. You know what I mean? She said, that doesn't mean that you're always trying to do people evil or that you're trying to do people harm. That's how we look at the word manipulation. She was like, that's just who you are. You are an opportunistic person, and you're going to create opportunities, and you're going to seize opportunities, and you're going to do what you do. So once she said that, I'm like, shit. So I can be cool with being a fucking manipulative person. She was like, hey, go for it. I was like, all right, fuck it. You know what I mean? That's who I am. But that was all created from my childhood.
Wow. Yeah.
So now I sound like either the best person on the podcast or the worst.
I think there might have been a little manipulation in my life too, but I'm not sure how that would have came in. I know people that I grew up with that were good at playing people against each other. I know people that were good at saying, all right, if mom won't give me one thing, I can go to dad and dad will give it to me. Or if dad won't give it to me, then mom will do it. And they were good at playing them against each other so well that they got to a point that whenever they wanted something, they knew exactly who to go to and how to get the other person. They would rather see their parents get into a fight than to not get what they want. So I've seen that manipulation in my life. And, I got to a point where, I started seeing patterns in my life, so maybe that caused some level of manipulation for myself. But, you ever sit in traffic? I used to be the person who was, I love to drive. I used to be the person who would sit in traffic and there would be a mile long line to turn right at the next exit. And I would sit in that line and I'd wait my turn to get to the next exit. And I would see these cars zoom by, and I'm going to say it was a BMW because, everybody knows about the BMWs. They do the jackass moves, right? BMWs fly by and they see a gap in traffic and they jump in. You're like, well, son of a bitch, I've been waiting for a half hour to get to this exit. That BMW just zoomed up here and went next. And for the longest time, I was that guy who sat in line and was like, this is the right thing to do. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait my turn. But, I moved to DC and I saw it happen so much. And I started realizing that there was no consequences for being that person. There was no consequences for being that BMW driver who zoomed to the front of the line and got in front of everybody else. Was everybody else pissed off? Yeah, but what they going to do about it? So I became that person. My success became fuck them. Exactly. It became me being that person who decided I'm going to step on everybody else to get to where I needed to go. Because if that's what it took for me to get to the top, then that's exactly what I was going to do. And if anybody had a problem with it, then they just going to have a problem. So does that make me a bad person? I don't know. But it makes me a successful person.
Well, even me and all my manipulations, I tell you all the time, right? You heard me say it before. Our friendship, me and your friendship, the basis of our friendship was born on manipulation. Right?
I can say it, yeah.
Yeah. I go even further than that. I'll explain. But the basis of the relationship that I have with my wife, who I love dearly, was a manipulation. That's it. That's all the fuck it was. No more, no less. The basis of our friendship, who I've had a great relationship with you for 20 years plus, was nothing but a manipulation. You had a car. You weren't as cool as me. I was cool because I knew a whole bunch of fucking people and all this fucking shit. And I could use you to get around. And you had me because now you got some extra cool points because you were fucking with Prel. It was a manipulation. That's it. Now, did it grow? Now, did it grow to something more bigger than that? Of course. It grew into something beautiful. You know what I mean? But it was all born on a manipulation. That was the key to where we are today. My relationship with my wife. She made me want to be a better person, as I said earlier. But now let's take all the sweet shit away from it and let's tell the truth. She did make me want to be a better person, but she made me want to be a better person because she had her own house. She had her own car. She didn't live with her mama. So I saw somebody who I could move in with. I had my own place and somebody that I can control. And that's what I jumped into. Now, did it grow into be something bigger, something better, something way beyond what I manipulated to be? Or did my manipulation only cause where we are today? Had I not had been my opportunistic predator type mentality person, take advantage person that I was at that time, would we be where we are today? That's a question that I can't answer. But that's the truth of the scenario. So what I tell people all the time, look at things that are in your life and truly run all the way back to the source. There's always a beginning of something. How did it begin? How did it really begin? Your best friend, look at your best friend and say, how did our friendship really begin? What was it based on? It's never really, do you really think that ever it's, I just saw my wife and I knew the moment that I saw her, she was the one. No, she had something that I wanted, whether it be sexual, whether it be physical, because she was beautiful, whether it be material. She had something that I wanted. Every relationship is based on you have something that I want and you can provide me with something that I need, whether it be conversation, whether it be friendship, whether it be comedy, whatever it is, everything is based on something. And the people who get the most out of most things is the ones who's like, I'm hustling. The only reason I'm doing this is because of this. But sometimes, those things grow into great things. But that's the truth. The only reason you go to a job is for what? You're manipulating the job. And they're manipulating you. It's clear. Right?
Yeah.
It's no confusion.
It's an agreement.
It's no confusion.
Take advantage of each other.
It's not an agreement. You think it's an agreement? It's who can win. If I make you feel like you won, they're like, shit, this motherfucker wanted $100,000. We was willing to pay him $120,000. Okay.
Yeah.
Give it to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, we give you your $100,000. You know what I mean? You feel like, man, by golly, George, I got over on these motherfuckers.
Everybody wins because they're like,
Okay.
damn, he dumb as fuck. Look at him go.
But you feel like
That could be you right now. You don't know it though, because you're feeling like the fucking man. And
but I don't care.
Right, but I'm saying ultimately, then everybody wins, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's the manipulation.
Oh yeah.
It was a total. So everything, everything is a manipulation.
Yeah.
Everything.
Because you want something and something wants you, and you guys have a trade, and
even our friendship. You think it's a costless friendship? You think it's free?
So,
no, because you know what happens to free friendships? They're gone.
There's no such thing. There's no.
Don't talk to them anymore.
So my producer just provided some information on communication and relationships. And our producer is a professor in communication, and she was pointing out why relationships form and what forms relationships. And yeah, your manipulation may have been a big starting factor. It may have been something that may have boosted the first interaction, right? But we're showing here that there may be a little disagreement on how relationships are formed. They're saying that there are 5 things that actually begin relationships, interpersonal relationships, and that is proximity, resources, similarity, reciprocal liking, and physical attractiveness. And it seems like you and your wife had all 5 of these things, and that's what created your relationship. So although you may have manipulated your way into meeting her or manipulated your way into certain things that happen, ultimately your relationship is based on those 5 things. So you two were close together. You happen to meet because you were close together. It's proximity. She had resources that you wanted. You may have had resources that she wanted. She's not here to explain what it was.
So let's deal with the first one. So proximity. That's an easy one and obvious.
Right.
Okay. Nobody can dispute that one. But proximity is challenged only based on the fact that, fuck, if we on Facebook and you in California, okay, we can say we approximately close to each other because we on Facebook. So what is our proximity based on? So that's almost an obvious one. So we throw that one out the window. What's the next?
I can tell you for sure I don't have any friends that currently live in China. The next one was resources, right? So, resources. She had things that resources that you wanted. She had a car, a home, resources that you wanted access to. And you may have had resources that she wanted access to. She can't speak for herself in this case. But you would agree with that, right?
Well, either way, that's still the manipulation.
Maybe so. Third on the list is similarity.
If I have something, Oh, we still on resources.
Okay.
If I have something you want, you have something I want. If I have something you want, you have something I want. We're manipulating each other. We're playing chess now to try to get to this checkmate of getting what we want.
Okay. I can agree with that.
So again, that's a kind of way of saying what I just said. So I mean, it's a nicer way of saying what I said, but still manipulation.
Yeah. Okay. Scholars assert that there are these five factors. Um, the third of the five factors are similarity, right? You two have to have some similarity, something in common that aren't you aren't complete polar opposites to the point where you like you know you like the room to be 78 degrees and she likes the room to be 68 degrees and you guys are constantly fighting over the temperature, right? You guys are polar opposites and one's
But
a Republican, the other one's a Democrat, right?
yeah, but again, we being super basis. You taking an argument all the way down to its basis level. So that's like we go in the club. We both like Little John. He playing to the window to the fucking wall. We jamming to that. Ooh, we both like that. We similar now. You know what I mean? Like, that's
well,
a basis level argument.
the
That's
similarities
very,
have to extend to
that's
a
very
point.
basis level.
Yeah, they have to extend to a point where you have an actual. It's something worth building a relationship on, right?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. When me and my wife met, this is real shit. So when me and my wife met, it was this. I want to fuck you and you want to fuck me. Period.
Well, that's a physical attractiveness there. That's stage five.
That's really that's but that's still really basic. That's I know nothing about you. The only thing that made my wife different, where I was like, shit, I may be a little more interested in this, and you know that. You know what I mean? I had multiple girls to choose from that night. I chose her only because she didn't give it up that fast. The other girls was gonna give it up just like that.
What?
So it's still in my. I mean, we talking candid. That's still to me. That's still a really basis level argument. It sounds scholarly, but it's still really basis to me. So what's the next one?
Well,
That was number three.
number three was similarity. So number four was reciprocal liking.
That sounds like the same as number fucking three.
So
Maybe explain it to me differently,
that's
but it sounds the
that's
same as number three.
that's coming up as you pursue those who pursue you.
I think that's so. So I use that. I have people that I talk about like that. I won't say their names, but I have people that I say, they like who like them. That's where you run into people who don't really have like you like what's your preference? You like, yo, I ain't even really got no preference. I don't know. I like who like me. One day you might be with this, one day you might be with this, one day you might like this, day you might like that. You know what I mean? So I mean that one's a little I don't know about that one, but
Yeah, and the fifth one is physical attractiveness. So that is the beautiful is good effect, meaning that you pursue those who are physically attractive. Um,
I
so
mean shit. I always pursue people who try to get me.
so
So I agree with that.
so scholars are
Can't say
saying
nothing bad about that.
basically that you need these five things. You have to be you're going to pursue a person who is closest to you, and that's the proximity. You're going to pursue those who offer substantial benefits at a low cost in return, right? So that's zero resources. I get a benefit from this being in this relationship, and it doesn't cost me a lot. If I get a benefit from being in this relationship and it costs me a vast amount, then I may be a little less likely to jump into this relationship. We have similarities. You know, this person is like me. We find ourselves to be agreeable. In addition to that, they want me the same way I want them, and I find them physically attractive, and they find me physically attractive. So scholars are saying that all of these things, or most of these things, are typically required to have any type of interpersonal relationship.
Well, I disagree because it sounds like a lot of scholars who's writing this shit ain't had a whole lot of one night stands to me. So
I mean, can you think of a relationship in
that's just me.
which
I don't know. I like to talk to the scholars who wrote this shit.
can you think of a relationship in which you've had an interpersonal relationship that didn't include these five things?
Yeah, it's plenty. Really be. It's plenty of girls that I just fucked that I just wanted to fuck.
Well, that's not an interpersonal relationship, right?
I mean, if we talking candidly, it is an interpersonal relationship. I mean, I'm fucking you. That's kind of interpersonal.
No, I mean, interpersonal relationships. There's interpersonal and there's intrapersonal, right? There's intrapersonal being, relationships that exist just because they exist. But the interpersonal ones are the more intimate relationships, right? Those are, people like your wife, your children, not necessarily your children, but the people that you trust most in your life.
Again, I mean, maybe I just got bad luck, but I mean, most of my relationship has been based on, you know, my wants, and my wants haven't always encompassed all of those things. I may want one of those things. I may just be physically attracted to you. You may have absolutely nothing that I want. So let's just say you look at a a predominantly successful single man. You know what I mean? He may get into relationships where, look, all I want is one thing. I just want to fuck you. You bring nothing to the table. You bring nothing extra that I want. You know what I mean? I'm just physically attracted to you. That's the only thing that I want.
Well, that's three things right
It's
there.
just your physical attraction. You have nothing else that you bring. Well, I mean, if we tie them up like that, then yeah, everybody's right. Then what can I say? If you say if I just want physical attraction takes up three things, then what else can I say? Then?
Well, it's not just the
There's really
physical
nothing I can
attraction,
say.
right? Because you got the physical
So my
attraction.
guy, I just want to fuck.
All right, so let's say you're that guy. You got the physical attraction. You have to have a reciprocal liking, unless
Well,
you're a rapist, and then
you
you
got
got proximity.
so again, so it's really nothing that I can say. I can't fuck somebody that I'm not close to. You know what I mean? I'm physically attracted to you, so obviously, if you physically attracted to me, unless I'm a rapist, I can't fuck you. So those are almost obvious like giveaways. Like those ain't even like, oh shit, I'm a scholar now because I said that. Like I just tied up three things with absolutely nothing. Like you like, yo, the only reason you fucked her because she was proximately close to you. No fucking shit. Yeah, okay, I agree. You know what I mean? Well, the only reason you fucked her because she had a similar liking to you. Well, goddamn. Tell me more. The only reason you fucked her because y'all was physically close. Well, shit. Well, goddamn it, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's almost easy. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Are we really breaking it down to like that's the basis level of the argument. You know what I mean? Like I can't disagree with the basis level of the argument. There's no substance to that to me. So it's nothing I can say, but yeah, you're right. So I mean, I concede. I mean, shit. I never fucked anybody that wasn't proximately close to me. So I mean, and that didn't have a similar physical attraction, and that I wasn't physically well. Yeah, yeah.
All right, I'm just getting some messages from the producer. Yeah, I guess you have a point there. What happened to our guest?
He's still here. He's sitting over here laughing his ass off because he know he like, yeah. Like, okay, we talking on the basis level of an argument, so you can't really argue. You can't really argue with the basis level of argument. I can't really say anything about that.
So yeah,
But what were the other two that weren't that obvious, that didn't encompass three things? What were the other two?
resources and similarity.
What was it? Similar interest or something like that?
Yeah, those things being you pursue those
I
who are
mean,
like you, and you pursue
those.
those who offer substantial benefits at a low cost in return.
I mean, those two are more debatable. Those two are more debatable. The other three can encompass one thing, but the other two, similar resources. I mean, people tie themselves up with people all the time that don't have similar resources. I mean, it just happens, and the reason they do that now, if you say you got to have 3 out of the 5 because we've already established that 3 out of them are a given. You know what I mean? So if you say you have to have at least 3 out of the 5 that scholar predict that you have to have a relationship, I agree. But people tie themselves up with people who don't have similar resources, i.e., like my wife. So she tied up with me. We did not have similar resources. I
So,
can promise you that.
so resources is
Now,
not
either
similar
she was
resources.
I tell her go ahead.
The resources is that you pursue those who offer substantial benefits at a low cost in return. So what she's saying,
Well, I
what it's
mean,
yeah, what it's saying is so
well,
like a situation with me and you where I had a vehicle and you had places you wanted to go, or I had places I wanted to go and I didn't have places I wanted to go, but I had a vehicle, and you were able to take me places that I wanted to be.
yeah. Yeah, no, no, no.
Uh,
I agree with that. You know what I mean? Because even in a situation where a girl is, you know, messing with somebody who has less than resources, i.e., myself, you know what I mean? And saying, okay, well, I get cool points because this is the person that I'm with. But pursuing, so that's the other thing too. When you use the word pursue, know, it's not always equal. I pursued girls that had no pursuit in me. But just by me wearing their asses down, they like shit. You know what I mean? I'm sick of this motherfucker. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So when you say pursue, sometimes it's only one person pursuing. It's not always an equal pursuit. You know what I mean? A girl ain't sitting there. I mean, I don't know. Your producer may know better than me. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't feel like it's always been an equal pursuit. I feel like sometimes I pursued more than somebody
mm,
has pursued me, and I feel like I've been pursued more than I pursued somebody. So the word pursue means something big too, you know what I mean? Because the same difference, that girl might see somebody else and she might be pursuing the shit out of them. She might be dealing with my ass, but she might be pursuing somebody else. Yeah, it's a power dynamic.
I guess you have a point there.
Your producer ain't have nothing to say.
She had a lot to say, but there was so much that It was hard to hear her and you at the same time. Um, so basically, she was saying that it could be any one of these things that could cause the formation of a relationship, and I see how that could work. Um, I mean, getting to your point, yeah, it's kind of basic.
Any
Proximity is a basic thing. But it's true on the other hand that I can be around 100 people and not want to be friends with any of them. It's true on the other hand that there are a lot of people could have things that we both could have. For instance, with resources, our relationship first started off with not necessarily manipulation, but we both had resources, right? Um, so that would be a thing that
yeah,
caused our
but
friendship.
yeah, but who pursued?
Well, I guess we both had to have some type of effect on that pursuit, right? We both had to make a choice.
No, no, but that doesn't mean we're both pursuing. If one person is pushing this way and another person is standing still, that is not the same as pursuing. This individual is pursuing. This individual is just here. Just because we connect doesn't mean we were both pursuing. That could easily mean you were here, I was here, and we caused the collision. That doesn't mean both are pursuing, because pursuing means we're both going this way and we meet here.
But there had to be some type of agreement there, right?
Because I don't.
So
Yeah, but again, just because there's an agreement, now we're changing the basis of the argument. We didn't say that we both agree to XYZ. We said we are both pursuing. That's something different. I may have pursued my wife, and she may not have been pursuing me. That doesn't mean she wasn't here and I couldn't connect and make my move and do whatever I did. That doesn't mean she was pursuing. She could have just been here, or vice versa. She could have been pursuing and chasing me down, and I'm just here. That doesn't mean I'm pursuing. Pursuing means if both of you guys are pursuing, it's almost a beautiful thing. That means I want you, you want me as much as I want you, and we both are coming this way, and we're gonna come together. That's different than if we're pursuing to meet each other. You're in Townsend or wherever you at, and I'm in fucking Hebron, and we say we're gonna pursue each other. All right, I'm coming this way, you coming this way. We gonna meet where the fuck we meet. Here we go. We meet in the middle. If you say I'm coming to you, that means I'm here and you'll get here. I ain't going no motherfucking way. You gonna have to drive 100 miles.
But
or we can drive 50.
In our situation with you and I, you wanted to hang out with somebody who had a car, and there were plenty of people who had cars. You could have hung out with anybody. I wanted to be part of the cool crowd, and there were plenty of people who wanted to hang out with me just because I had a car. I mean, you weren't the first person to come along and be like, "Hey, B, you want to take me somewhere?" I could have been like, "Hell no," but we had similar interests.
And none of that motherfucker was cooler than me.
So
yeah, but it still goes to the basis of my argument. I didn't say you wasn't manipulating anything, motherfucker. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck you was manipulating. I didn't say that. I just said what the fuck I was doing. I ain't say what you was doing. I never said that. Did I?
Okay.
You never heard me say that. You never heard me say that. You never heard me say, hell, you ain't have your own hustle going on. I don't know what the fuck hustle you got going on. I just know the basis of our relationship, whether it was equally yoked or whether it was unequally yoked, the basis of our relationship was manipulation, period. I don't know what the fuck you was doing. You might have been like on the whole time, be like, yo, this motherfucker cool as shit. I want to chill with this motherfucker. You know what? I'm going to manipulate this motherfucker thinking he can get a motherfucking ride. Nigga, I don't know. I didn't say that. That's not what I said.
Okay.
I just said, listen. Let me clarify. Let me clarify. I'm not clear on what anybody else does. I can't be. It's impossible. But what I've been good at in my life is being clear on what I've done and what I choose to do. So I know why. Now, whether my wife admitted or not, she could have had her own hustle going on. She could have had her own attractions, her own fucking all those 5 things. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? But I know what the fuck I was doing. And I take pride in knowing what I was doing. And I don't mind admitting knowing what I was doing. And at the time, what's funny is at the time, I was not the same person. So when I look back at it now, I know what I was doing. When I was in the moment and doing it, I didn't know what I was doing. But when I look back at it now, it's clear to me. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. Okay.
Because I look at things like that.
So, I think the ultimate point here was that manipulation is definitely one-sided, right? Manipulation is the idea that one person has a goal and the other person has no idea what's going on and has no gain from it. And that happens in a lot of cases.
No.
You don't think so?
Nope. I disagree.
So
no, fuck no. You just said all the negative aspects of manipulation. Absolutely all the negative aspects of manipulation. You're in a relationship. Are we allowed to talk rated R? Rated X?
Until we get cut off, yeah.
All right, well, fuck it then. So here you go. This is always the example that I use when I talk to a lot of men about this shit. This is always the example that I use. Okay. So you as a man, you like your dick sucked. You want your wife to suck your fucking dick. The only way your wife is going to do that is if you rub her feet and kiss her toes. Well, goddamn it, she already knows when you start rubbing her feet and kissing her toes, she got to suck some dick. She already know. It's fucking manipulation. You only manipulating to get something that you want. Does she gain from it? Yes. Because she loves her toes licked and fucking her feet rubbed. So she like, it's a open-ended contract. You gonna do this and I'm gonna do this. In order for me to do this, this is what the fuck you gotta do. So you manipulating me, I'm manipulating you, and we just ain't gonna say shit about it, and we gonna call it bullshit. Just motherfuckers don't want to say that shit. That's what it is, though. That's what it is at the core basis. That's what the fuck it is. I want this. You want this. In order for me to get this, I got to do this. And if I do this, then you'll give me this. But you'll give me this only because you want this. You manipulating me, I'm manipulating you, and we just happy about it. Come on, man. Just people don't want to say that shit.
That's not manipulation. That's you both are getting something you want. That's not manipulation. I think manipulation.
It is manipulation because no.
Manipulation comes.
The only way it makes it not manipulation is go ahead. I'm cutting you off. You go first.
So, for instance, let's say the same thing is true. You want what you want from your wife. I'm trying to get a little sucky, right?
Yep.
And you tell your wife, hey, baby, if you do this, your skin will clear up. You might have some pimples right now, but your skin will clear up. I tell you, I'm telling you, go ahead and do it. Little sucky, for the next 6 months, you'll be good. She gets nothing from it. You manipulated the hell out of that situation. You got what you wanted. She didn't get what she wanted.
The only way I think is not manipulation, in my opinion, is when you doing something solely for no gain. There's no gain for you. You like, or you doing it purely out of the kindness of your heart. I'm licking your toes, putting hot sauce on them bitches, and doing all of that shit purely for you. Now, is every situation manipulation? Absolutely not. No, not saying that. But when I'm saying, I'm sucking your toes, girl, you know what I mean? And she like, okay, well, I'm gonna do this for you because I know you like that. And I'm like, nah, that ain't even why I did this. I did this only because I want to suck your toes. I did this purely for you. Okay, well then that's not manipulation. But if you have and a lot of these things, because people aren't in touch with their subconscious, what happens in relationships is people get in patterns. So you know what you have to do to get what you want. So you do what you have to do to get what you want. So you manipulating the situation. The only difference in me and most people is that I'm saying it. That's it. Most people don't want to say it. It's a lot of hidden contracts in relationships. I do this, you do this. I say this, you say this. One of the biggest ones is the word I love you, but I ain't even gonna go into that.
So let's go to the basis level of what you believe the definition of manipulation is. You believe, well, I'll just let you define it. I'll go with my definition first. I believe that the definition of manipulation, and here's an example, is to talk someone into doing something or to gaining something for yourself without any gain for them, right? Without any gain for that other person. So I receive what I want without the other person receiving what they expect to receive. I believe that is considered manipulation. What do you believe manipulation is?
So I believe manipulation is any way you get what you want. Period. Nothing else extra. Nothing else extra. If you make a move, a chess game is nothing but manipulation. So life is chess, not checkers. Most people who say that don't know how to play chess. I'll say it again. But life is chess, not checkers. Chess is based on I make a move wanting you to make a specific move so I can again make another move. So when I do anything in expectation of me getting what I want, it's manipulation. Now, whether you receive something in return is no matter. You may receive something. That's great. Cool. It's a win-win. Great. Doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, I got what I wanted. So when I get what I want, now that's where I say everybody looks at manipulation as a bad thing. I don't think manipulation is a bad thing. I think when people stop putting the stigma on manipulation as being a bad thing, then we can live life. Because I read a book one time, and you know what the book said? The book said this, and the shit was very profound to me. So the book said this. Say, you know what? If you live in life, you live in a life of manipulation. You're being manipulated every day. Every day. If people aren't manipulating you, you are trying to manipulate others. And to say that you do not want to play, you can throw me the ball, I'll catch it, but I ain't going to run. I'm just going to stand here. Guess what? You're just going to get ran the fuck over. Okay. So you'll get ran over. You know, you're still in the game. It doesn't matter. You just won't score. That's all. You're still in the game. You can't quit. So that said, it's just I want something. how do I get what I want? Now, the key, the the perfect life is I want something, I give you what you want, and I get something what I want. That's perfect. You know what people call that? They call that shit compromise. What the fuck they call that shit?
Yeah,
You
it's
know what I
mutual
mean? Say that's
benefit.
fucking compromise. Compromise ain't nothing but a big yeah, compromise ain't nothing but a big but fucking manipulation. That's all. You know, I want this. Well, you want this. Well, if I do this, will you do this? Well, if you do this, then I'll do this. It's negotiation. That's it. Hey, what do you want? I want $150,000. Well, I want 140. Well, how about 145? Well, how about 142? Okay, we settle. You know what I mean? That you just did nothing but manipulate into getting close to what you want. So a lot of times, you know, that's all it is. So if my wife, in my opinion, if one of her best things, we just gonna use this dumbass scenario. It's not real, just a fucking scenario. We just gonna use this dumbass scenario. If she want her toes fucking sucked with hot sauce on them, and I'm like, well, shit, if I suck her toes, you know, I can get a little sucky, as Brandon say. You know what I mean? That's that's a manipulation. I'm doing what I gotta do to get what I want. Not to say that I don't enjoy what I'm doing, and not to say that she didn't get anything out of it. She didn't enjoy what was being done to her, but ultimately I did what I had to do to get what I want. Not to say that I didn't enjoy it, or not to say that it wasn't pleasurable, or not to say that it wasn't fun for both of us, but it was still manipulation. But it was good. It was great. We make manipulation to be a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's something that happens all the time. Just people just don't want to say it because you put the stigma on the word. The word is manipulation is bad. If you say that word, then that means you're trying to take advantage of people, and you're trying to do people wrong, and you're trying to hurt people because you're trying to manipulate people. That's not the case.
I
A lot of people are manipulated into doing great things.
respectfully, I disagree. You know, I think if you're saying that, you know, you're doing something and you gain no benefit from it, then you're being manipulated. You know, if someone's encouraging you and forcing you, or not even necessarily forcing, but if someone's tricking you into doing something that you gain no benefit from, I would consider that manipulation. But anything else where you gain benefit from it or you both benefit, that's mutual benefit. That's not manipulation. That's shared interest. That's similarity. It's you know, it's something reciprocal.
But but how does that not make but how does that not make it manipulation? Because manipulation is behind the intent.
Manipulation is not
Your intent is what makes it manipulation.
manipulation is not reciprocal.
What?
Manipulation is not reciprocal.
How not?
You don't receive anything. Like
You
you know, there's no gain. If I tell someone, hey,
you
go over there and do the you know manipulation. For instance, in ISIS, they manipulate these suicide bombers to do certain things. So they say, hey, you know, you're going to get 40 virgins when you die if you go hop on, you know, go into this crowded center and blow yourself up for Allah. You know, that's manipulation because, you know, I'm sure they don't know that you're going to get 40 virgins. They tell that person and they think they're getting this great benefit, but the only thing they get is death. They manipulated them into doing what they wanted to do, which was kill a bunch of people, and they gained nothing from it. That was manipulation.
so okay. So the definition of manipulation. You ready?
I'm ready.
Handle or control. Handle or control, typically in a skillful manner. That's what manipulation means.
I feel like you
It
missed the
doesn't
unfair
mean
part.
that, oh, well, somebody got something. I don't see that part. Control or influence cleverly, unfairly, or unscrupulously. It's still the same thing. I still don't vary from what I said. It's still the same thing.
The unfair part is kind
So
of
if
important.
I handle or control something if I handle or control something typically in a skillful manner, I've manipulated something. So when I say, yo, I'ma lick my wife's toes so I can get a little sucky.
So
I handled or I controlled something in a skillful manner.
so that is in the terms of using a tool or a mechanism, right? We're talking about in terms of a person or a situation, right? Manipulation in the terms of tools, right? I can manipulate the buttons on my vape so that I can get smoke from it. That's me manipulating the buttons. That's controlling or handling something as in a tool or mechanism. But we're talking about persons, people, or situations, right? To cleverly or unfairly or unscrupulously control or influence a person. That's very important. The unfairly and cleverly is very important in that definition.
But still, when you say that, that's based on your intent, which is what I said before. My intention is what matters. Because I may think that I'm unfairly or unscrupulously doing something to you, but you may be totally hip to the game. So am I manipulating you?
I would say no, because I have control over it.
How not? How not?
I mean, if I have control over the
Because my
situation,
intent is to do all these things. My intent is my intent is to control or influence a person or situation cleverly, unfairly, or unscrupulously. That's my intent. Now, whether you fall for that shit or not, you know what I mean? That's up to you. When you don't fall for that shit, because at the end of the day, using the same situation. The only reason I'm licking toes with hot sauce is because I want to unfairly, unscrupulously, or whatever, control the person or whatever into getting something that I want. Now, whether you hit to that, you like, yo, he licking these toes, but he don't know. This is exactly what I wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, so who's the manipulator at that point? Me or the other person?
I
You
don't
know what I'm
know.
saying? Like we battling for who manipulation.
I don't know if it counts as manipulation if both people are
I
manipulating
mean,
each other.
it does count as manipulation, man. To me, it counts. It's just one of those ones where it falls on equal ground. You know what I mean? That's like if we playing poker and we come to a draw, you like, yo, y'all weren't playing poker in the first place. No, we was playing fucking poker. We just came at a draw. We neither one of us won. What are you talking about? We was still playing fucking poker. Well, it don't count unless somebody win. No, it still fucking count because our intent was to fucking win. We just didn't. You know what I mean? Like we knew the rules of engagement and we just didn't win. You know what I mean? Like in what situation? Like, yo, I was trying to get you. You was trying to get me. And we came to a draw. So all right, you ain't playing poker no more. Yeah, you still fucking playing poker. It's the same thing with manipulation. I'm trying to get you. You trying to get me. I'm thinking that I got the upper hand on you. I'm thinking that I'm controlling you or unfairly getting over on you, any of that shit. And you thinking you controlling me and unfairly getting on me, and we just happen to end at a draw because we both getting what we want. So that's why I say, man, to me, manipulation is not a bad thing. I will never say that it's a bad thing. Now, do I think that it can be a bad thing? Absolutely. I think that many of people take advantage of who they are, their status in life, even in relationships, they take advantage of the control that they have. But, I mean, we going into a whole different subject because I I believe there's people who have control in their relationships and all that shit. But your producer might want to argue with me on that. I'd love to have that argument though.
We might, but we can have that argument in our next episode.
Step in.
And he's off to the bathroom. Our special guest hasn't made too much of a fuss on this one. I want to know what your opinion is on manipulation.
Nah, you guys, I think you stand at two opposite points, and I don't think y'all opinion is gonna change. I don't know. It was nice to see from the sideline. I don't think my third opinion, my interjection would have clarified anything. So I think we'll be all right. Oh, he's got a question. I heard him. He said he's got a question.
Okay. Well, to everybody viewing the live stream, I appreciate you sticking around. But we're gonna wrap up here soon, so we're gonna finish up with Sabrel's question, and then we'll get to the end of the stream.
Should I be in the frame for this one? Or?
Oh, I don't care. I mean,
I just don't know if it's about to be explosive or not.
Oh no, we stream at this point. They don't want no parts of this shit right here. I'm just playing, people. I be tripping though. I be tripping all the time. So
that's what we do.
So I was sitting out there thinking, right? So I don't even know how the fuck we even get to these places. Y'all people, if anybody out there listening to the shit, somebody got to keep us on task. We need a fucking producer.
I've talked about that. We're gonna tighten up the production.
Yeah, we're gonna need a producer. Anyways, so anywho, so my question is, talking about manipulation. So is it at the end of the game that you can say, based on your opinion, is it at the end of the game that you can say this was manipulation, and it can't be during the game? So if you and I, well, not you and I, me and my wife, we playing the game. I'm sucking toes. She doing sucky. But then some kind of how I get her to do something extra. Checkmate, game over. I won. I manipulated you because at the end of the day, I had the upper hand. Or is it during the game when we're choosing what we're going to do in order to get the other individual to do what we want them to do? Because if we end at per your previous comments, if we end at a draw and we both end up happy, then it's not manipulation. That was just compromise or some shit. Fuck what the intent was. But if I end up with one up, then I manipulated the situation and I won. Is that what it is?
I don't think it has anything to do with the beginning or the end. I think it's specifically about the situation itself. Was it unfair to the other person?
Well, you can't call unfair. You can't call unfair until I won.
Okay, so you win and it's unfair. If it's unfair, then it's manipulation.
Because if I'm trying to control or influence or cleverly, unfairly, or unscrupulously deceive a person into getting what I want, if I don't win in the deception, is it manipulation? Even though that's what I'm trying to do.
It's attempted
even though that's my goal, but I fail at my.
So here's probably a a baseline question. If okay, people work for minimum wage, right? Minimum wage is below a living wage. If you work for minimum wage, although it's legal and although it's an equivalent exchange, as you could say, we're paying you X for your time and you agree to it when you take the job, is it not still manipulation? As in, the standard is far too low for what it really should be, so companies are exploiting people. But to your same point, you would say, well, no, because people agree to work for that amount, and then they provide whatever for the company. But in the same rate, it's still wrong and it's still manipulation in the fact that people should be getting paid more, right?
It's manipulation
I
in the
mean, I
sense.
think,
I would say it's manipulation in the sense that these people are led to believe that what they're receiving is fair, right? So they may have agreed to it, of course, but they agreed to it under the pretense and understanding that that's what was supposed to be received and that's what was acceptable for that position. So they were manipulated into accepting that position.
So, so now, say I go into work, and every time I go into work, Sapro punch me in the head, and I just think that's normal. Is that still manipulation? Because Sapro just punched me in the head because it makes it feel better, and in reality, I'm just getting a concussion every day when I go to work. But it's the perception that I think is normal.
If he tells you that
So is
it's
it the
normal,
perception or is it the action that actually matters? Because if I go into work and I believe it, though, if he tells me that's normal and I believe it, then is it manipulation?
it doesn't
I'm getting
matter
paid
whether or
minimum
not you
wage. You
believe
can
it,
punch me in
but
the
yeah,
head
it's
every
well,
manipulation.
yeah,
But I think it's so much of the intent because say I'm making minimum wage now and I think 7.25 is actually fantastic, then am I still being manipulated?
yes,
Absolutely.
yes, because my intention is to take advantage of it.
But say I can do everything I want. To your point, say I am self-actualized. Say I have done everything I want. I'm content. I make my 7.25 and I'm happy with my life. I hit all of my goals, just as you mentioned. Although it's not a livable wage, I'm still being manipulated because you could pay me more now.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's manipulation.
But I'm saying if I'm happy, am I still manipulated?
Yes,
So if you're
Yep.
sucking toes, then that's the same thing. That's total. That's still manipulation.
I agree.
But that was your whole argument. So then sucking toes is not manip. If you get what you want, then you would say that that's manipulation.
Yeah, because my intent is I'm only doing this to get something. Now, whether the value is
So
equal, you know what I mean? Go ahead, B.
so in this case, what you're saying is that you were getting paid a lower amount than what you could have been paid, and that it's manipulation because you should have been paid more, but you're happy with what you got. And the way that would work in Soprel's example with the sucking of toes is that you let's say you wanted more, right? You know, you get your little free sucky sucky, but you know, you wanted more than just to get your toes sucked, but that's all you received out of the agreement. Of course, you're happy with having your toes sucked. Okay, fine. But maybe she wanted a little licky licky. and she didn't get that. So yeah, she was manipulated.
Well, it just looks like I won that manipulation, but in the example where she still gets what she wants, she gets what she wants. And she was like, I know this motherfucker right now, he want a little sucky sucky. And in order for him to get some sucky sucky, he gonna have to lick some toes. She popped the damn toes out, and I'm like, I know I want some sucky sucky. And in order for me to get some sucky sucky, I'ma have to lick these raggedy ass toes. Damn it, I'ma lick these motherfucking toes. Cause I want some sucky sucky. I'm manipulating the situation. As is she. Now, if we end at a draw, what do we call that? Well, that was manipulation draw, nobody won. You know what I mean? But it's still a manipulation because the intent behind both of us was to control or to take advantage. Yeah, you trying to take one over on another person, not knowing that the other person is trying to take one over on you. So it's the same thing. The same thing that companies do. They like, yo, we gonna offer this motherfucker $100,000.
And then you got Jamie over there, like.
But we already hold on. But we already know that this motherfucker gonna come back and say $110,000. The only reason we offering him $100,000 is because we don't want to pay him $120,000. So we gonna say 100. So then when he say
one, there's a good chance that he doesn't counter and he just says yes.
Yeah,
and we're paying him 100
and so
120.
That's manipulation. They win. Then when you come back and say, "Hey, I want 110," they like, "All right, we'll pay you 110." You thinking you like, yo, if I get 110, shit, I got over on these motherfuckers. They like, shit, if we pay him 110, we paying him $10,000 less than what he worth.
That's a serious thing. Like they always say, if you get a job offer and you ask for a salary and they're like, yeah, sure, then you got fucked.
You got fucked. Yeah.
That's right.
So, but that's what I'm saying. Like, even in that situation, it's a manipulation.
Yeah.
It's a manipulation on both ends.
You play the game. You play the game.
It's a manipulation on your part because you think you winning, and it's a manipulation on their part because they think you losing.
Yeah.
So it's a manipulation both sides.
You hate your job, you don't get paid enough, so you leave anyway.
Well, that's something totally different because I'm sucking toes to somebody I can't stand. Feet stank like a motherfucker. But
nails curling under.
Mm-hmm. Oh. That is not my wife, just so y'all know. Suck my wife's toes from here to China.
Stop. So what's the verdict? What's the conclusion? Y'all agree to disagree?
No, I know the conclusion. I know the conclusion. Brandon is not gonna agree with me. We are gonna agree to disagree because manipulation is a bad word. It's a bad word. I don't think it's a bad word. I think more times than not, manipulation more times than not ends in a draw. And because it ends in a draw, I do not think it's a bad word. I think more times than not, I'm sucking toes and we sucky. You know what I mean? Or you at the company, you got $110,000 what you wanted, and they got $110,000 when they didn't want to pay you $120,000, so it ends in a draw. So it's really a lot of times it ends in compromise, which I think compromise is just I don't know. I don't like the word compromise, but there's that. Yeah, I don't like compromise.
You don't like that word?
I don't.
I think ultimately the problem is the English language, right?
That's a whole nother segment there.
I think the problem is the English language. You can say compromise, and that means that two parties get the same thing. Two parties get something that they kind of wanted, but not exactly what they wanted. Or you can say compromise, and that means that, the perimeter of your security has been breached. Compromise can go so far, and so can manipulation. I think ultimately the problem is the English language.
I go along. That. Yeah, I go along with that because ultimately most manipulations end in compromise. most of them. And if you have a good loving relationship, it's a lot of manipulation going on in your relationship, and that's not a bad thing.
But I'm saying, ultimately, if it comes to compromise by his definition, does it ever start out as a manipulation?
No. Yes, of course it starts out. Yo, listen, my wife wanted to buy a house a couple of weeks ago, and she was manipulating the fuck out of me into buying a house, and I called her out on that shit. If my wife was sitting right here, she'd tell you, I called her out on that shit. I told her, I said, you taking advantage of the fact that I'm a good husband and I want to make you happy. But
That's fair.
you fucking me over. And we ain't finna do this shit. You fucking me over. We not finna do this shit. Like, we gonna run this shit back and we gonna make some good business decisions about a small business that we run. And we reeled it back in. You know what I mean? But
so is that you counter her manipulation for what she wants with your manipulation for what you want to ultimately come to some sort of compromise?
Yeah. So most if you have a loving relationship, that goes back to what I said. If you have a loving relationship, it's a lot of manipulation going on.
Sucking, a lot of romantic.
Listen, it's if you got a loving relationship, it's a lot of manipulation going on. But a lot of times those manipulations end in compromise. It ends in one party saying, you know, both parties saying, you know, I agree, and you know, all of that shit. But I will never say, and maybe I'm biased because I have been, in my opinion, a very manipulative person throughout my life. You know what I mean? So, and you know, and I think I'm a relatively decent person. I try to be a good person. You know what I mean? So, you know, me being a good person and knowing that I'm very manipulative, you know what I mean? So maybe I'm just biased.
Yeah, but I think it's different though, because you're like the coach manipulating the player. Like the coach ultimately wants the fame, saying that that's his player, but the player ultimately wants to reach his peak of his performance, right? So if the coach manipulates or encourages the player to play at their best, the coach gets the fame or the credit for it, and the player also gets to, you know, realize their highest potential.
A win-win, right?
I would consider that manipulation.
I would too.
I'm so confused right now.
But per be easy.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just feel like you have a bad connotation about manipulation.
Soprel over here, it's a lifestyle.
I mean, I've manipulated most of my life. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's what I've done.
That in interviews, see what they be like.
No, I wouldn't do that because I'm gonna manipulate the interview. So what the fuck are you
talking? And we will continue this conversation at a later time and date. Although this 5-hour conversation has been fun, and I appreciate the input from our special guest, Brian. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you all to our live viewers, whoever's out there. Appreciate it. Is there anything you would like to add before we wrap up for the night?
No, I mean, these live podcasts are serious. You know, we get into a lot of stuff, so you know, I don't even know like how we title this. What did we title it? Childhood, some shit like that.
Yeah.
Traumas or something like that.
I'm just gonna say we all have some very traumatic childhood traumas.
We brought it up today.
Yeah, I'm a manipulative person. You know, my childhood has taught me that. Brandon's childhood has taught him that manipulation is a bad thing. I'm just gonna keep saying that because I want to keep arguing about it. So we're gonna get off this podcast and we're gonna continue to argue about it. So there's that. But
we'll probably talk about it next week.
Just know what makes you happy. That's the real. Oh yeah, we can pick this up next. Yeah.
So like B said, you know, ultimately, no one makes you happy. Chase your happiness. Create your own happy goals.
Shit out of your life.
And manipulate the fuck out of that
shit. And with that, I will say goodnight. This has been another episode of Just a Little BS with Brandon and Soprel. Thank you all again. Have a great night. Peace out.